Each year when the Texas Legislature convenes, there are a certain number of legislators who begin to talk about a public defender system in the state to replace the court-appointed attorneys. Well, Dallas District Attorney Henry Wade told me on News 8 at noon today that he's primarily opposed to that system. He says the manpower and money always seem to get out of control with those, and he cited California, where the budget is now $4 to $5 million. I asked that with many people being highly opinionated on the value of Dallas Legal Services project and their reluctance to admit that these court-appointed attorneys are really interested in them, are these people being fairly represented? District Attorney Henry Wade also said these attorneys who are appointed by the court and work for $50 to $100 a day are, for the most part, the same attorneys that would be hired to handle these cases. From the Dallas County Courthouse, this is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
We did a long series of studies of possible alternatives. We came to the conclusion that, having been in Fort Worth for some 17 years now, that for the happiness of our employees, their efficiency, the avoidance of complicated traffic problems, school problems, that it made sense just to stay right here where we have essentially built this company. All of our people like the friendliness of Fort Worth, the availability of cultural facilities that are equal to anywhere else.
Well, KKK was such a vicious organization with 6 million members back in the late 20s that this organization was founded, that's true, to combat the sort of hate that they were spewing out. And there are all kinds of crazy hate movements in this country today. I think the Black Panthers are an example of violent, blind hatred that has no place in this country. In fact, any sort of violence that comes out of any group has no place in this country, and that's what really we're in business for, is to combat this sort of hate and violence, and to try, through dialogue, discussion, education, and every other communicative means at our disposal to get people together, talking to one another, understanding each other's viewpoints.
While cities all around Dallas are swearing in city councilmen today, Dallas is still wondering who the next mayor will be. A council committee met today to canvass the vote from yesterday, and after that the entire council met to approve the canvass. The only variation from routine was George Hughes, who showed up to serve formal notice to councilmen that he would ask for a recount in place 3. Hughes drew 31% of the ballots in that race, while Doug Fain picked up slightly more than 50%. Hughes says a minor accounting error could throw that race into a runoff.
There have been several people notified me that they feel, and again, they have not brought proof to me and put it on the line, but they feel that there may have been errors in several of the accounting booths, honest errors, in transposing the votes from the tally machine, or from the machine to the tally sheets, I should say. These errors can happen anytime with anybody. And out of 60-some-odd thousand casts, we're talking about around 700. And 700 is approximately 0.6% of the total votes cast last evening in place 3.
Do you have specific booths or polling places?
I'd rather not go into specific booths at this time because, as I said, I don't have the specific charges or anything. In fact, I'm not making any charges.
There will be a runoff for the mayor's seat anyway. Wes Wise and Avery Mays will face each other April 20th for the final decision. Another candidate in that race, Albert Lipscomb, has said he'll protest the count, but city officials say that since Lipscomb drew only 5,000 of the 76,000 total votes cast, his protest can't affect the runoff. The new council will be sworn in May 3rd here in the council chambers in Dallas. This is Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move at the Dallas City Hall.
A lot of people are going to be very busy in Fort Worth dismantling billboards and peeling off bumper stickers. Observers are telling each other, that's the way I called it. But they're not saying it very loud because very few insiders felt the election would turn out exactly the way it did. To begin with, nobody really felt that Sharkey Stovall would beat Tommy Thompson as thoroughly as he did. In place 6, folks sort of expected a runoff between Leonard Briscoe and Dick Salinas. History shows that one wasn't even a horse race. But as the new council took the oath of office this morning and took their seats around the council table,
they found themselves faced with a number of problems, finding a new city manager chief among them. The glitter is over. For 2 years, the new government will be more concerned with ecology than with endorsement, with garbage rather than glory, and with buses rather than billboards. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
Arkansas Congressman David Pryor is listening to testimony here at the National Association of Retired Teachers as well as the American Association of Retired Persons meeting here in Dallas today. They're telling about terrible conditions in nursing homes. It was supposed to be concerning Medicare as well as other problems, but primarily nursing homes. Congressman Pryor has been trying to get a House Committee on Aging to be the counterpart of the Senate Committee on Aging. He hasn't had much luck so far, but he's still pitching. Let's listen to some of that testimony.
I witnessed an elderly patient, a man, that was restrained in a chair and slapped and beaten because he was hungry, only asked for something to eat.
You saw this with your
I
eyes?
surely did.
How long ago did this occur?
About a year and a half ago.
I saw things that I couldn't believe. There were roaches all over, all over the walls. I'm sure in bed, all in the closets, all of the clothes in the drawers. I don't believe they bothered to shampoo the carpeting. It was always filthy.
On the state level, your senators and representatives, and
And on the national level, excuse me.
well, on the national, well, we won't ever get anything done if we get it done on the national level. But we will try to get a law in the state of Texas changing some of the rules and regulations under which commercial nursing homes operate.
What is the largest problem that's facing you today?
Well, I think the same problem that's facing this country, the problem of national unity. We're a very diverse country, and we have many diverse groups within that country. And now they seem to have polarized to some extent in their little camps together and fighting with each other. And this is true racially, but it's also true ethnically and I think to some degree interreligiously, although we've made a lot of progress since we started 42 years ago.
We need wiretap legislation. We need it with guidelines that will be controlled so that it will not be indiscriminately used in Dallas as far as organized crime as defined by the FBI as La Cosa Nostra, or organized crime as it's known. When you speak of organized crime to the public, their conception is of the mafia and these. Probably in the areas of gambling, we have some organized crime here. Our organized crime, the betting, is taken care of to a degree when you start laying off on lines.
Well, the new Railpax system is designed entirely to assist the railroads in the operation of intercity passenger trains. It has absolutely nothing to do with freight service or commuter passenger service.
Can passenger service sustain the railroads, Wally Schirra notwithstanding?
Definitely not. Penn Central last year lost $130 million in the passenger business.